The message came as it always did. A soft ping on Earth's deep space monitoring station buried beneath the Antarctic ice. The operators barely looked up. This was the 97th time in 300 years that the Galactic Council had sent their formal invitation, and for the 97th time, Earth would say nothing in return. Jinha stood at the command center of the monitoring station, his dark eyes fixed on the main screen as the alien transmission was automatically decoded. At 53, the silver at his temples gave him an air of authority that matched his position as Earth Defense Force's highest-ranking admiral. "Same message as before?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The young technician nodded. "Word for word, sir. The Galactic Council of Sentient Species extends its 97th formal invitation to the planetary government of Earth to join the assembled galactic community and take its rightful place among the stars." Jinha's mouth tightened. "And the rest?" The technician hesitated before reading. "Continued non-response will be interpreted as deliberate isolation and potential hostility. This is your final notice before the Council must take appropriate measures." That was new. In all the previous messages, there had never been a threat. "Send the recording to command," Jinha ordered. No response as usual. As he turned to leave, the technician called after him. "Sir? Why do we never answer them, after all these years?" Jinha paused at the door. It was a fair question. Most of Earth's population didn't know the truth. They believed the government was still analyzing the alien messages, still debating the proper response. Only a few thousand people knew the real reason for Earth's silence. "Because we've been listening to their other conversations," Jinha said simply, "and we don't like what we hear." 2 days later, Jinha stood on the observation deck of the EDF flagship Dauntless, hidden in orbit behind Earth's moon. Through the viewport, he could see the blue-green planet that humanity called home, peaceful and seemingly defenseless. The ship's second-in-command, Ha-Rin, approached with a tablet in hand. At 45, she had served with Jinha for over 20 years, her tactical brilliance matched only by her unwavering loyalty. "The Council ship has moved to a higher orbit," she reported. "They're following the same pattern as before. They'll probably leave in another day." Jinha nodded. "And our fleet status?" "All ships at ready position. The lunar bases are fully staffed. The Mars defense grid is online." Harin's voice was calm, professional. "We're as ready as we'll ever be if they decide to do more than talk this time." Jinha took the tablet, reviewing the status of Earth's hidden defenses. To any outside observer, Earth appeared to be a single-planet civilization, barely reaching its own moon. The truth was far different. "Admiral," a voice called from the communication station, "we're picking up unusual activity from the Council ship." Jinha and Harin moved quickly to the main bridge. The communications officer, a young man named Quan, was hunched over his console. "They're sending out some kind of signal," Quan explained, his fingers moving rapidly over the controls. "Not directed at Earth, it's aimed outward toward the edge of our solar system." Jinha felt a chill run down his spine. "A beacon?" "I think so, sir," Quan confirmed. "And there's something else. The energy signature of their ship is changing. They're powering up systems they've never activated before." Harin moved to the tactical station. "Weapons?" "Can't tell yet," Quan replied. "But whatever it is, it's drawing a lot of power." Jinha made his decision instantly. "Sound General Quarters. Bring the fleet to full alert. And contact Earth Command. Tell them it might be time." Alarms blared throughout the Dauntless as the crew rushed to battle stations. Jinha stood at the center of the bridge, outwardly calm despite the tension building in his chest. "Sir," Quan called out, his voice tight with urgency. "Multiple hyperspace signatures detected at the edge of the system. Large vessels incoming." The main view screen shifted to show the area near Neptune's orbit. Points of light were appearing. 1, then 3, then 10, then more. Each point expanded into a ship, and not the small diplomatic vessel that had been orbiting Earth. These were massive, clearly built for war. 30 ships and counting, Harin reported, her face grim. Formation suggests military protocol. These aren't diplomats. Jinha watched as the alien fleet began moving toward Earth. 300 years of silence was about to end, one way or another. Open a channel to all Earth Defense Force ships and bases, he ordered. Authorization code Prometheus. Quan looked up in surprise. Sir, that's the— I know what it is, Lieutenant. Jinha cut him off. Do it, as Quan established. The channel, Jinha took a deep breath. The code he had just authorized would activate Earth's full military response, something they had prepared for but hoped never to use. This is Admiral Jinha to all Earth Defense Force units, he began, his voice steady. Prometheus Protocol is now active. I repeat, Prometheus Protocol is active. This is not a drill. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases came to life. Beneath the surfaces of Mars, Venus, and various moons, massive doors slid open to reveal shipyards and launch bays. In the asteroid belt, what appeared to be ordinary rocks split apart to reveal weapon platforms. On Earth itself, deep underground facilities began powering up systems that had been waiting for this moment. The Council fleet has established orbit around Earth, Harin reported. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's hear it, Jinha ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life with an alien voice speaking perfect English. Attention, planetary government of Earth. Your continued isolation ends today. The Galactic Council has voted unanimously to bring your world under protectorate status for your own protection and development. Resistance is unnecessary and inadvisable. Please respond with your surrender within 1 Earth hour. Jinha's face hardened. This confirmed everything Earth had feared. Everything they had overheard in the Council's private communications over the centuries. The protectorate status was just a polite term for what amounted to colonization. Earth had seen how other, protected worlds were stripped of resources, their populations used as cheap labor. Sir, Quan said quietly, the first wave of our fleet is in position, awaiting your orders. Jinha nodded. Open a channel to the Council flagship. For the first time in 300 years, Earth would speak to the stars, but not with words of friendship or surrender. This is Admiral Jinha of the Earth Defense Force, he began, his voice carrying to the alien vessels. Earth acknowledges your message. He paused, then continued. We have monitored your Council's communications for centuries. We know what happens to protectorates. We know about the Lyrans, the Centauri, and the others. Earth will not share their fate. On the main screen, the image of an alien appeared, tall, with crystalline features that seemed to shimmer with light. Its voice was cold when it responded. You have been spying on secure Council channels? This confirms our concerns about your species' hostile nature. Your primitive defenses cannot hope to— Jinha cut the alien off with a simple gesture to Quan. Now, he said quietly. Throughout the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet revealed itself. 1,000 warships, built in secret over 2 centuries, deactivated their cloaking shields simultaneously. They appeared everywhere, surrounding the Council fleet, emerging from behind moons, rising from planetary atmospheres. The alien commander's crystalline face showed something close to shock. Impossible, it whispered. Your species has barely reached your own moon. Jinha allowed himself a small, grim smile. That's what we wanted you to think. Silence filled the bridge of the Council flagship as the alien commander stared at the tactical display. Where moments before there had been empty space, now 1,000 Earth warships surrounded his fleet. The crystalline being's body flickered, with pulses of light, a sign of extreme distress in its species. Impossible, the commander repeated, its voice no longer confident. Our scan showed no advanced technology, no space-based weapons, no fleet. On the screen, Jinha's expression remained calm. Your scans showed what we wanted them to show. For 3 centuries, we've been watching you, learning from you, building. The alien commander regained some composure. Even with these ships, you cannot hope to defeat the full might of the Galactic Council. We represent 200 species across 3,000 worlds. We don't want to fight, Jinha replied. We simply Want to be left alone? Return to your council. Tell them Earth declines their offer of protection. The transmission cut off, leaving the alien commander staring at a blank screen. Back on the Dauntless, Jin-Ha turned to Harin. What's their response? Harin studied her console. Their ships are maintaining position, but internal communications suggest they're arguing among themselves. Some want to attack immediately. Others want to retreat. And their weapons status? Jin-Ha asked. Powered up but not targeted, Quan reported. From tactical. They're scared, sir. Jin-Ha nodded. Fear was understandable. The council had expected to find a helpless world ready for conquest. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by a fleet that outnumbered them 30-1. Sir, Quan said suddenly. 3 of their smaller ships are breaking formation. They appear to be preparing to jump to hyperspace. Let them go, Jin-Ha ordered. We want them to report what they've seen here. As the 3 alien ships disappeared into hyperspace, Jin-Ha turned to address his crew. This is only the beginning. The council won't give up easily. They've spent too long taking what they want from weaker species. Harin approached, her voice low. The president is requesting to speak with you. Earth's governments are demanding answers. The public is in panic. Our ships are visible from the ground now that we've deactivated cloaking. Jin-Ha sighed. This moment had been inevitable. For generations, only a small group of leaders and military personnel had known the truth. That humanity had been preparing for war while pretending to be primitive. Put the president through to my ready room, he said, and prepare a data package. For Earth's governments, it's time they knew everything. In his private ready room, Jin-Ha faced the screen where the president of the United Earth government waited. Despite the crisis, President Mina looked composed, though the dark circles under her eyes betrayed her lack of sleep. Admiral, she began, half the world can see your ships. The secret is out. Jin-Ha nodded. It was always going to end this way, Madam President. We've bought ourselves 3 centuries of preparation. Now we must face what comes next. The public deserves to know why we've been building a war fleet in secret, the president said. Why their tax money went to hidden bases instead of schools and hospitals. They'll understand when they learn the truth about the council, Jin-Ha replied. We've sent you the complete archives. Every intercepted transmission, every plan we discovered for Earth's integration into their empire. The president's face hardened as she glanced at another screen, presumably reviewing the files. They plan to mine our entire planet? To use our people as labor? That's what they've done to every world they've protected, Jin-Ha confirmed. The Lyrans lost half their population when they resisted. The Centauri are now little more than slaves in their own system. The president was quiet for a long moment. What happens now, Admiral? Now we negotiate, Jin-Ha said, from a position of strength. 2 hours later, Jin-Ha stood in the main conference room of the Dauntless. Across from him sat the alien commander, who had introduced itself as Emissary Thal of the Galactic Council. 2 other aliens flanked the emissary, one a tall insect-like being, the other small and gray with large eyes. Your deception was impressive, Emissary Thal admitted, its crystalline body now glowing a steady blue. No species has ever hidden their true capabilities from council observers before. We had good reason, Jin-Ha replied. Harin and Quan stood behind him, silent but watchful. Your council's history of helping younger species is well documented in your own secure transmissions. The insect-like alien clicked its mandibles in what might have been irritation. Spying on council communications is a serious offense? Jin-Ha smiled without humor. So is planning to strip mine a living world. The small gray alien spoke for the first time, its voice surprisingly deep. What do you want, humans? Why reveal yourselves now? We didn't reveal ourselves, Jin-Ha pointed. Out. You forced our hand with your invasion fleet. Not an invasion, Emissary Thal protested. A protective force. Jin-Ha tapped a control on the table. A holographic display appeared showing intercepted council communications. The aliens shifted uncomfortably as their own voices filled the room. Earth's mineral wealth alone will fuel Council expansion for 50 cycles. Their population will provide excellent labor for the outer colonies. The humans show concerning independence, recommend immediate subjugation rather than gradual integration. Council vote is unanimous. Earth will be brought under control within the next standard year. Jinha switched off the recording. We have thousands more like this, dating back 3 centuries. The 3 aliens exchanged glances. The emissary's crystalline form dimmed slightly. What do you propose? It asked finally. Earth will remain independent, Jinha stated firmly. No council presence in our system without explicit invitation, no interference in our development, no demands for resources or labor. The insect alien clicked again. And if we refuse? Jinha's expression didn't change. Then we will defend ourselves. And based on what we've learned about your weapons and tactics over the last 300 years, we will win. The small gray alien leaned forward. You misunderstand the Council's reach, human. We have millions of ships across the galaxy. Your 1,000 vessels are impressive, but we have 1,000 ships that you can see, Jinha interrupted. We've had 3 centuries to prepare, hidden from your observation. What makes you think this is our entire fleet? It was a bluff, but a calculated one. Earth's actual fleet numbered closer to 1,500 ships, not the many thousands Jinha implied, but the aliens couldn't know that. The emissary's color shifted to a pale yellow. I must consult with the full council. Of course, Jinha agreed. You have 24 hours to begin withdrawal of your ships from our system. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war. As the aliens were escorted back to their shuttle, Harin moved to Jinha's side. Do you think they'll leave peacefully? She asked quietly. Jinha watched the aliens depart. No, this is just the beginning. Quan joined them, his young face serious. Sir, long-range sensors are detecting more hyperspace signatures at the edge of the system, many more than before. Jinha nodded, unsurprised. The Council is calling reinforcements. Prepare all ships for combat, and send word to the lunar bases to activate the Phase 2 defenses. As his officers hurried to comply, Jinha turned back to the viewport. Earth shone blue and green against the blackness of space, still beautiful, still worth protecting at any cost. The real test was about to begin. The Council reinforcements arrived faster than Jinha had expected. Within 6 hours of the emissary's departure, over 200 alien warships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. They formed a battle line near the orbit of Neptune, their engines glowing as they prepared to advance toward Earth. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Jinha studied the tactical display with a grim expression. The new arrivals were larger than the first wave, heavy battleships designed for planetary assault. They're not wasting any time, Harin observed, standing at his side. So much for diplomatic solutions. Jinha nodded. The Council has never faced resistance before. They don't know how to respond except with force. Quan approached from the communications station, his face tense. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead Council vessel. On screen, Jinha ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, showing not emissary Thal but a new alien. This one had dark, leathery skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, its voice was deep and harsh. I am High, Commander Vex of the Galactic Council Defense Force. Your deception and threats against Council representatives constitute an act of war. Surrender your fleet and prepare for occupation, or face immediate destruction. Jinha met the alien's 4-eyed gaze without flinching. Commander Vex, Earth has no desire for war. We simply wish to remain independent. Your council planned to strip our world and enslave our people. We will not allow that. The alien commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. Your 1,000 ships impressed emissary Thal. They do not impress me. The council fleet has crushed rebellions across 3 galaxies. Your primitive vessels will not stand against us. Jinha's expression remained calm. You're making a mistake, Commander. My only mistake was giving you a chance to surrender, Vex replied. That offer expires in 1 Earth hour. The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in silence. Ha-Rin turned to Jin-Ha. Orders, Admiral? Jin-Ha took a deep breath. He had hoped to avoid this, but the Council had made their choice. Activate the Artemis Protocol. All ships to defensive positions. And contact Earth Command. Tell them to prepare the population for possible planetary bombardment. As his officers rushed to comply, Jin-Ha walked to the viewport. In the distance, Earth still shone peaceful and blue, unaware of the danger approaching. For 3 centuries, humanity had prepared for this moment, while praying it would never come. Now the time for prayer was over. President Mina stood in the Global Broadcast Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by the leaders of Earth's major nations. Her face was solemn as she addressed the camera. Citizens of Earth, for 300 years our governments have kept a secret from you. We detected alien life not long after our first radio telescopes were built. But what we discovered was not the peaceful galactic community we had hoped for. On screens across the planet, people watched as their president revealed the truth. That the Galactic Council was an empire that consumed worlds, that Earth had been building defenses in secret for generations, and that war was now at their doorstep. Today we face our greatest challenge, President Mina continued. Council warships are approaching Earth. Our fleet stands ready to defend us. But I must be honest, we may face destruction. Take your families to the designated shelters. Follow the emergency protocols you've practiced in drills, and have faith in our defenders. As the broadcast ended, sirens began to wail in cities worldwide. People rushed to underground shelters that many had believed were built for natural disasters or nuclear war. Now they understood the truth. These bunkers were designed to withstand attacks from space. 1 hour passed, then another. The Council fleet remained at the edge of the solar system, not advancing but not retreating either. What are they waiting for? Quan wondered aloud, watching the tactical display. Jin-Ha studied the enemy formation. They're scanning us, trying to determine our capabilities. They expected us to panic or attack immediately. Ha-Rin nodded in agreement. Psychological warfare. They want us to make the first move. Then we'll disappoint them, Jin-Ha decided. Maintain positions. All ships hold fire unless directly attacked. The waiting game continued for another 4 hours. Then suddenly, the Council fleet began to move. Not toward Earth, but spreading out in a wide formation that would encircle the entire solar system. They're trying to cut us off, Ha-Rin realized. Blockade tactics. Jin-Ha watched the enemy maneuver with growing concern. A blockade meant the Council was settling in for a long conflict rather than a quick strike. They planned to isolate Earth from any potential allies and slowly wear down humanity's defenses. Sir, Quan called out. We're detecting energy buildups in the lead Council ships. They appear to be charging weapons. Jin-Ha made his decision. It's time. Activate the Artemis Protocol Phase 2. Throughout the solar system, hidden defenses came to life. On Mars, massive cannons emerged from the red soil. In the asteroid belt, what looked like ordinary rocks suddenly revealed themselves as automated battle stations. From the dark side of Earth's moon, a fleet of smaller, faster ships rose into space, vessels designed specifically to counter Council technology. All units report ready, Admiral, Ha-Rin announced. Artemis Protocol fully activated. Jin-Ha nodded. Target the lead Council vessels only. Disable, don't destroy if possible. Show them our capabilities without revealing everything. Across, the human fleet weapons powered up. The first shots of humanity's war for survival were about to be fired. High Commander Vex watched with growing unease as his sensors detected new human defenses activating throughout the solar system. This was not the primitive species the Council had observed for centuries. These humans had somehow built a military infrastructure that rivaled the Council's own, and they had done it in complete secrecy. Sir, his second-in-command reported, the human weapons are unlike anything in our database. We cannot determine their capabilities. Vex's 4 eyes narrowed. It doesn't matter. Begin the attack. Target their largest vessels first. The Council fleet fired, sending beams of energy toward the human ships. But something unexpected happened. The beams seemed to bend around their targets, missing completely or hitting with reduced force. Impossible, Vex snarled. They have deflection technology. The Council's own scientists haven't perfected that yet. On his view screen, the human fleet began to return fire. Their weapons were not the crude lasers or missiles Vex had expected. Instead, they fired pulses of energy that passed straight through Council shields as if they weren't there. 3 Council battleships exploded in quick succession. Dozens more reported critical damage to their propulsion systems. Sir, his second-in-command's voice was shaking. The humans are targeting our engines, not our weapons or life support. They're disabling us, not destroying us. Vex couldn't believe what he was seeing. In less than 10 minutes, a third of his fleet had been rendered immobile. The humans could have destroyed those ships completely, but they chose not to. They're sending a message, Vex realized aloud. They want us to retreat. His tactical officer looked up from the damage reports. Sir, should we withdraw? We can't win this battle with our current forces. Vex felt rage building inside him. No species had ever defeated a council fleet of this size. The very idea was unthinkable, and yet, the evidence was clear on his screens. The humans had outmaneuvered and outgunned them. No retreat, Vex growled. Call for all available reinforcements. The Council will not be humiliated by a single planet species. As his officers rushed to comply, Vex stared at the image of Earth on his screen. The small blue planet had just become the Council's most dangerous enemy, and Vex would make them pay for their defiance. 3 days into the battle, Earth's defenses still held strong. The Council fleet had grown to over 500 ships, but they had made little progress against humanity's carefully planned defensive network. For every human vessel disabled or destroyed, 5 Council ships met the same fate. Jinha hadn't left the bridge of the Dauntless since the fighting began. He stood at the tactical display, his uniform wrinkled, his eyes red from lack of sleep. Around him, his crew worked tirelessly, their faces showing the same mix of exhaustion and determination. Admiral, Harren approached, offering a cup of coffee. You need to rest. You've been awake for 72 hours straight. Jinha accepted the coffee with a grateful nod. How can I sleep when our people are dying out there? Earth's fleet had suffered losses. 37 ships destroyed, over 200 damaged. Each lost ship meant lost lives, men and women who had trained for years knowing they might one day face this very enemy. The Council is regrouping again, Quan reported from his station. Their remaining ships are falling back to Neptune's orbit. Jinha studied the movement on the display. Another tactical retreat. They'll be back with more reinforcements. Sir, Harren said quietly, we can't keep this up forever. Our ammunition reserves are down to 60%. 3 of our lunar bases have taken heavy damage, and the Council seems to have endless ships to throw at us. Jinha knew she was right. Earth had prepared well, but they were still one planet against an empire that spanned thousands of worlds. It was a war of attrition they couldn't ultimately win. Admiral, Quan called suddenly, we're receiving a transmission from the Council. Fleet, it's different this time. Different how? Jinha asked. It's not coming from Commander Vex's ship, Quan explained. It's from a new vessel that just arrived, much larger than the others. Jinha straightened his uniform as best he could. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life, showing not the four-eyed Commander Vex, but a new alien. This one appeared almost plant-like, with bark-textured skin and branch-like appendages. When it spoke, its voice was surprisingly gentle. I am Grand Arbiter Zol of the Galactic Council High Command, the alien said. I have come to speak directly with Earth's leaders. Jinha studied the alien carefully. I am Admiral Jinha of the Earth Defense Force. Why should we trust another council representative after your fleet has spent 3 days trying to destroy us? The plant-like alien's branches rustled in what might have been a sigh. Because I have relieved Commander Vex of his duties. His attack was not authorized by the full council. Jinha exchanged skeptical glances with Harren. You expect us to believe the council didn't approve this invasion? The Council approved bringing Earth under protectorate status, Zol clarified. The method was left to local commanders. Vex chose violence when diplomacy failed. I am here to try diplomacy again. After, you've lost nearly 300 ships? Jinha's voice was cold. This feels less like diplomacy and more like damage control. The alien's branches drooped slightly. You are not wrong, Admiral. The Council has never encountered a species that could resist us militarily. Your capabilities have caused concern among the Council leadership. Good, Jinha said simply. Then perhaps now you're ready to listen. Zol's bark-like face was hard to read, but there was a new tone in its voice. Something close to respect. I propose a direct meeting. No weapons, no tricks. Just talk. Will you agree to this? Jinha considered the request. It could be a trap, but Earth couldn't win a prolonged war. They needed a diplomatic solution. I will meet with you, he decided. On neutral ground, the International Space Station in Earth orbit. You may bring 2 representatives. I will do the same. Agreed, Zol replied. In 6 Earth hours. As the transmission ended, Hareen moved to Jinha's side. Sir, is this wise? Meeting them face to face? Jinha rubbed his tired eyes. We can't fight forever, Hareen. And if they're finally willing to talk, we need to take that chance. The International Space Station had been evacuated of all personnel except for a small security team. Jinha arrived with Hareen and Quan, all 3 wearing formal uniforms rather than battle gear. They waited in the main conference room, Earth visible through the large viewport behind them. When the Council representatives arrived, Jinha was surprised to see not only Grand Arbiter Zol but also Emissary Thal, the crystalline being from their first encounter. The third alien was new, small and blue-skinned with large intelligent eyes. Admiral Jinha, Zol began. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Allow me to introduce Emissary Thal, whom you've met, and Council Historian Mev. Jinha nodded, to each alien. This is Commander Hareen, my second-in-command, and Lieutenant Quan, our Chief Tactical Officer. The formalities complete, they all took seats around the conference table. For a moment, there was silence as both sides studied each other. Your species has surprised us, Admiral, Zol finally said. In 3,000 years, the Council has encountered over 500 new civilizations. None have managed to hide their true capabilities from us. None have defeated our fleets in open combat. We didn't want war, Jinha replied. We simply wanted to be left alone. The blue-skinned historian Mev spoke for the first time. Yet you built weapons. You prepared for battle. Because we intercepted your communications, Jinha explained. We know what happens to worlds that join your council as protectorates, the Lyrans, the Centauri, dozens of others, stripped of resources their people used as labor. Mev's large eyes blinked rapidly. You know of these worlds? How much have you monitored? Everything we could access, Hareen answered. For 300 years, we've been listening, learning, and preparing. Emissary Thal's crystalline body flickered with light. This explains much. You saw only our dealings with primitive or resistant species. You did not see the benefits the Council brings to cooperative worlds. Jinha leaned forward. What benefits? Show me one world that joined your Council and remained truly independent. One species that wasn't exploited in some way. The 3 aliens exchanged glances. It was Zol who finally answered. You misunderstand the nature of the Council, Admiral. It was not created for equality. It was created for efficiency. Advanced species guide lesser ones. Resources are allocated where they provide the greatest benefit to the whole. And who decides what's greatest? Quan asked, speaking for the first time. The founding species? The ones with the biggest fleets? Mev nodded, surprisingly frank. Yes, that is how it has always been. The strong lead, the weak follow. It is the natural order. Jinha shook his head. Not for humans. We believe in self-determination, in freedom. We will not surrender those principles no matter how many ships you send. Zol's branches rustled thoughtfully. And yet, here we are. Your weapons have forced the Council to consider something it has never done before. Negotiate, with a new species as equals. Jinha felt a small spark of hope at those words. Then let's negotiate. Earth wants recognition as a sovereign, independent world. No Council interference in our system. No demands for resources or labor. And in return? Thal asked. Peace, Jinha said simply. We have no interest in Council territories or resources. We only want to be left alone to develop in our own way. The three aliens conferred among themselves in low voices. Finally, Zol turned back to Jinha. The full Council must vote on such an arrangement, the Arbiter said. It has never been done before, but I will advocate for it personally. Why? Hiron asked, suspicious. Why would you support our independence? Zol's bark-like face shifted in what might have been a smile. Because in 3 days of battle, you destroyed or disabled 300 Council warships while losing only 37 of your own. Because you developed technology in secret that matches or exceeds our own. And because I suspect you haven't shown us everything you can do. Jinha didn't confirm or deny this last point. Earth still had weapons they hadn't revealed. Last resort defenses they hoped never to use. There is one more thing, Jinha added. The Council must free the worlds it has enslaved. The Lyrans, the Centauri, all of them. Mev made a sound of protest, but Zol raised a branch-like hand to silence the historian. That, the Arbiter said slowly, will be much more difficult to achieve. The Council economy depends on those worlds. Jinha's expression hardened. Then perhaps the Council economy needs to change. As the meeting continued into the night, the fate of Earth, and possibly the entire Galactic Council, hung in the balance. 1 year had passed since the battle for Earth. Jinha stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned starship Unity, watching as the massive vessel approached the Galactic Council's central world. Unlike the warships he had commanded, during the conflict, the Unity was built for diplomacy, though it still carried enough firepower to defend itself if necessary. Nervous? Harin asked, joining him at the viewport. She wore a formal diplomatic uniform now, having accepted the role of Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. Jinha smiled slightly. After facing their fleet, this should be easy. But they both knew it wasn't true. Fighting was sometimes simpler than talking. And today's meeting would test humanity's place in the galaxy more than any battle had. The Council chamber is ready. For us, Quan reported, approaching with a tablet in hand. In the year since the war, the young lieutenant had been promoted to captain, commanding his own vessel in Earth's growing fleet. All 200 member species will be present. Jinha nodded. And our guests? Waiting in the shuttle bay, Quan confirmed. They're anxious but ready. The three humans shared a look of understanding. What they planned today would either change the galaxy forever or plunge it back into conflict. There was no middle ground. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous, a vast circular room with rising tiers of seats for representatives of 200 different species. At the center stood a speaking platform where those addressing the I Council would stand. As Jinha, Harin, and Quan entered, a hush fell over the assembled aliens. Many had never seen humans in person before. Others had faced them in battle. All were curious about the species that had forced the mighty Council to negotiate rather than conquer. Grand Arbiter Zol, now the head of the Council after the previous leadership had been removed, rose to greet them. Admiral Jinha, Ambassador Harin, Captain Quan, the plant-like alien said formally. The Galactic Council welcomes Earth's representatives. Jinha stepped forward. Thank you, Grand Arbiter. We come in peace as equals. That last word, equals, caused a stir among the Council members. For most of them, the idea of treating a new species as equal was revolutionary. The Council had always operated on a hierarchy, with the founding species at the top and newer members at the bottom. 1 year ago, Zol continued, addressing the full Council, Earth forced us to reconsider our ways. Their resistance showed us that not all species will accept the traditional Council structure. The treaty we signed with Earth recognized their independence and sovereignty. the first such agreement in council history. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Not all of it sounded approving. Today, Zol said, Earth's representatives have requested to address the full council on a matter of importance. As Grand Arbiter, I have granted this request. Jinha stepped onto the central platform. He looked around at the gathered aliens, some humanoid, others wildly different in form. All were watching him with various degrees of curiosity, respect, or hostility. Members of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice strong and clear. For 3 centuries, Earth observed your civilization from afar. We saw great achievements, technology, art, science beyond our understanding. But we also saw darkness. We saw how newer species were treated, how worlds were stripped of resources, how people were used as labor. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Others made sounds of protest. When your ships came to Earth, we fought not just for our freedom, but for a new idea, that all species deserve self-determination. That cooperation should be based on mutual respect, not domination. Jinha paused, looking around the chamber. Today I am not here to criticize your past. I am here to propose a different future. He gestured toward the entrance, and the chamber doors opened. A group of aliens entered, representatives of the Lyrans, the Centauri, and other species that had been subjugated by the Council. They walked with dignity despite the chains they had worn for generations. These are the voices you have silenced, Jinha said quietly. The peoples whose freedom you have taken. I ask that you listen to them now. A Lyran stepped forward, tall and graceful despite years of hardship. My world was once beautiful, she said, her voice trembling slightly. Now our forests are gone, our oceans polluted, our people working in mines until they die. We did not ask for this. We did not deserve this. One by one, representatives of oppressed worlds spoke. They told of resources stolen, cultures destroyed, generations born into servitude. The council chamber grew increasingly silent as the stories continued. When the last speaker finished, Jinha returned to the platform. Earth has proposed a new galactic compact to replace the current council structure, he announced. One based on equality, not hierarchy. One where resources are shared, not stolen. One where all species have a voice. A council member from one of the founding species rose in protest. This is absurd. The council has maintained galactic peace for thousands of years. Our system works. For whom? Harin challenged, joining Jinha on the platform. For the founding species, for the wealthy worlds? What about everyone else? Another council member, a reptilian being, hissed angrily. You are one world. You cannot dictate terms to 200 species. Jinha remained calm. We are not dictating, we are proposing. But know this. Earth will not stand by while others suffer as we almost did. We have formed alliances with 15 formerly subjugated worlds. Together we have the strength to defend ourselves. This revelation caused an uproar in the chamber. The idea of former slave worlds uniting with Earth was clearly frightening to many council members. Grand Arbiter Zol raised his branch-like arms. For silence. When the chamber finally quieted, he spoke gravely. What Admiral Jinha says is true. In the year since Earth forced us to negotiate, they have helped several worlds regain their independence. Their fleet now protects these systems, and their technology continues to advance in ways that concern us. Zol turned to face the full council. I have reviewed Earth's proposal for a new galactic compact. It would fundamentally change how we operate. Many of you will resist this, but I ask you to consider the alternative, a divided galaxy, with Earth and its allies standing against the Council. More war, more destruction. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species shouted for Earth to be punished for its interference. Others seemed thoughtful, perhaps seeing the wisdom in change. The founding species appeared the most resistant, unwilling to give up their privileged positions. Jinha, Harin, and Quan watched the chaos with calm determination. They had expected this reaction. Change never came easily, especially to systems that had existed for thousands of years. Finally, after nearly an hour of debate, Zol called for order. The Council will need time to consider Earth's proposal, the Grand Arbiter announced. But today we have heard truths long ignored. We have faced our own history, that alone is progress. Jinha nodded in acknowledgement. Earth is patient. We waited 300 years before revealing ourselves. We can wait for the Council to make the right choice. As the session ended, Jinha, Harin, and Quan were approached by many Council representatives, some curious, some hostile, some seemingly supportive of their ideas. The path forward would not be easy, but the first step had been taken. Later, back aboard the Unity, Jinha stood again at the viewport, looking out at the stars. Harin joined him, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think they'll accept the new compact?" she asked. Jinha considered the question. "Not all at once. Change will come slowly, but it will come." "And if it doesn't?" Quan asked, joining them. Jinha turned to face his friends and colleagues. "Then we continue to build, to protect, to show the galaxy that there is another way." Beyond the viewport, Earth's fleet waited in formation, ships built not just for war, but for a future where humanity would help reshape the stars. A future where freedom and self-determination were not just human values, but galactic ones. Earth had ignored every galactic meeting for 3 centuries. Now they would miss no more. The time for silence was over. The time for change had begun.